So I screwed up yesterday. I've screwed up again this morning with the time of this event. What's your biggest marketing screw up?
Mine? Oh, in history?
Sure. Or in recent memory.
Yeah, well, you know what? Actually, I have to go back a long, long ways. This is really funny. I actually did, we did, my first agency, we did some work for Chipotle. And one of the ideas that we had, they were based in Denver, Colorado. And this was way back before Chipotle became a household word. And we were really trying to open up some locations on the West Coast for them. And we had a 3D marketing idea where we handed out, we used the LA Times as a delivery mechanism and put a brown bag in the LA Times, and it was a small bag, and it said basically bring the bag to Chipotle and we'll put a free burrito in it. All right. Now it worked like a charm because back then people got the paper, you get a free burrito, and people would, flock, to this new giant burrito place that had, organically sourced, pork.
Delicious.
And we decided that we were going to open up 2 at one time. And we did this, and we had one in the Inland Empire and one in West LA, and the LA Times switched the bags. And nobody is going to drive 60 miles for a free burrito, right? And we were like, we had extra staff, we had all the stuff all set up, and like nobody's going to drive from Beverly Hills to La Mirada, right, for a free burrito. And then we're like, okay, that's a giant screw up. And then we're trying to figure out what happened. And then all of a sudden, the La Mirada store got swamped. Like 4,000 people showed up at one time for a burrito about midday.
Yeah.
One of the guys that was shoving the bags in the newspaper decided to take a case of them and give them to his entire family. And he was handing them out at the mall, like across the street from the Chipotle place. And they had to call the police and everything else. And so it was like a burrito riot. So yeah, that was one of my biggest. Did
you get fired, or did it end up paying off in the long run?
No, we kept the account because we had a good relationship with the folks there, and we had really kind of helped get them to the level that they had been. And when all else fails, blame the vendor, right? So we blamed, which is what you do, right? And the LA Times at that time had really, really mucked it up, and so so it was a giant screw up. I had another one back there that was in LA at my first agency too. I had a client. We decided we were going to do a midnight madness sale for a client. It was LA Carpet and Mattress. And the guy's business model was to take over old A&P stores. Now, remember this? A&P, grocery stores?
Sure. Yeah.
They all went out of business.
Yeah.
And he bought a whole bunch of them, or leased a whole bunch of them. And he would turn them into carpet and mattress kind of like warehouses. And he didn't have a really great brand, but he was like a price kind of brand, like a Hanes. This is the final Saturday,
Right. Sell out.
That's the way his ads worked. There weren't really things of art, but they worked.
Mm-hmm.
And we convinced him we're going to do a midnight madness sale, and we're going to stay open. We're going to keep the warehouse open all night. The stores are going to be open all night, and you can come in and you can get 70% off your carpet, your mattress. Well, I get a call at like 5 a.m. from the owner, Cyrus, and he's like, I've been in my mattress. I've been to the factory all night. He goes, there's nothing going on. There's no one in my stores, blah, 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 blah. What's going on? And I'm like, it's like 10 a.m. in the morning, or 9 a.m. And this is West Coast time. And I said, have you turned on the news? And he said, what? And I said, turn on the news and then call me back. It was Tuesday, 9/11.
Oh, wrong. That's the worst day to do a promotion like that.
The sale started at midnight on Monday.
Yeah.
And there were people. Yeah. And it's, at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I was waking up to.
Oh, yeah. That was West Coast time, would have been right around when it was happening.
Yeah, and then like 4 hours later, after the event, he's calling me, asking me, I know one's in his stores. I'm like, well, I've got a really good idea. Turn on the news.
That's
So even
unfortunate.
even the best laid plans sometimes has life get in the way. You know,
For
speaking of,
sure. And
you know,
now,
our plans 3 months ago for clients, a lot of them have changed dramatically because life got in the way here.
that's right. The environment has changed, and it's an adapt or die. And I really believe when that statement is said that it has meaning. And I see people who are glued to the old ideas of really just life in general, even marketing and business. And so I'm curious to hear how you've managed through that, or from a marketing perspective, and what your ideas on what do you need to be doing now. And I'm going to share what I've thought and why I started even doing these videos. But I want to hear from you what you've changed, or what you're telling your clients, or what you're seeing working out there.
Well, from a strategy standpoint, every single client that we have, when we start working with them, we try to talk about producing a strategic framework: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You know, and among threats, what happens if you go into a recession? What happens if, and you don't anticipate a global pandemic shutting down everything, but you say, what if operations changed here, and how would that change your business model? And so that has allowed our clients in many cases to pivot. So for example, I have a distillery client in Fredericksburg that's making hand sanitizer. And literally when the governor said you can get liquor delivered direct from the distiller a few days ago, their website went live yesterday.
Holy cow. They were ready that quick.
Because we had it, we knew what we wanted to do. We created the website, we had the product. And one of the products they've sold out on, and they sell a few $1,000s, for example, a week of product in the showroom, right? And we turned it on at 2:30 yesterday, and between 2:30 and 8:30 this morning, they'd sold $8,000 worth of product overnight.
Wow.
So not only can you survive these times, but you can thrive if you have the strategic plan in place. And so one of the things I'm talking about clients right now, that the potential clients, is now's the time to start doing strategic planning to prepare for the next event. Okay. Let's say it's the Great Depression 10 years from now, right? Or if it's this, or if it's a return of Corona in the fall, or whatever else. Can your employees work from home? Do you have fundamental changes to the organization? How do you change the business model, and so forth?
Right.
We've had, you've noticed that some distillers have gone to making a hand sanitizer. Well, same sort of thing, a hand sanitizer. Or in the restaurant business, as you know, I own a couple of restaurants myself. And so one of the things that we did last year was that we didn't have a website for takeout orders, old school phone style system, delivery, Grubhub, Uber Eats.
Yeah.
We put those systems in place. Last year, it was 7% of total revenue. Wow. Now it is our revenue because, takeout and delivery on both restaurants. And then that's allowed these restaurants to stay open. You're right about it. When people don't change or can't pivot quickly, they succumb to the forces. I literally had to talk a business owner out of shutting down last week. And they had said they have a retail outlet. They're like, you know what? We're just shutting down. We can't do business. We're going to take unemployment. We're going to ride this thing out. And I'm like, this is, 30-year-old retail business.
Wow.
And they would rather lay off all their employees than take unemployment themselves. And I said, well, hold on. You can do online appointments, and we can put this, and we've been telling them for years they needed to go e-commerce, right?
For sure, yeah.
We'll have their e-commerce site up tomorrow. All right.
Justification.
Yeah, but again, now we're like, okay, we've been telling you for a long, long time, now's the time to do it. And so they finally believe now, okay? But now is not the time to react. The time is to be proactive in times before the big event comes.
Right.
And so a lot of our clients have been able to pivot. Then the second piece of advice is don't quit, don't give up, don't put, and I use the analogy in my webinar, the Marcom webinar that we did last week. Your company is like a car, okay?
Right.
It might be new, it might be a classic.
Right.
It might be souped up, it might be economical, whatever. You're the driver of the car, all right? Marketing is gas for the car, right?
That's right.
Fill her up,
Right.
right?
Don't go very far empty.
Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere empty, right? And put your foot down,
Right.
okay?
Floor it.
Floor it, all
That's
right?
right.
Full speed ahead.
Grind.
And resist that temptation to move that foot over to the brake.
Right.
Because you pump it a little bit, you're going to slow down. But if you slam it, you're going to stop dead, all right? And it's like, I make that analogy all the time. And regardless of what business you're in, I think it's a good one. Now is not the time.
Now is definitely the time to accelerate. And that's what I wrote in the Facebook post, because I used that strategy in 2008 and 9, and it paid off. And I had also run a business through 2001, the dot-com bust, and we came really close to failure. That was the best experience I ever went through, because it gave me so much courage and knowledge for how to navigate times like this. And now I look forward to them in a way, because I know a thinning of the herd to some degree. And I'm gonna have an opportunity. I want to tell you my experience with why I even started doing this. Am I coming through okay?
Yeah. You froze there for a second, but now you're back.
Yeah, I know. It's internet. So I send out mass emails, as you probably know, every Friday afternoon. And I sent one out one Friday afternoon, and I almost always get back, I don't know, a dozen to 100 out of office assistants. I'm on vacation, I'm on travel, I'm on this, I'm on that. And I didn't get any back. I got like 2, and I thought something's wrong with my email. And I thought, nobody's in it. Everybody's at their desk. Nobody's going anywhere. And I'm an investor, and I was looking at Facebook stock, and they're up. Their usage is up 200% Now the marketing spend is down, but the attention is on Facebook. So I thought, first of all, everybody's bored. They're at their desk, and I thought, I got everybody's attention. Maybe I could do something with it. And I've never done Facebook Live, and I thought, now's the time I'm going to do it. And so it was scary at first. Then it became kind of like, okay, I can keep doing this. And then I was thinking at night, like, I need to take this to the next level. And I constantly thinking, like, what can I do to improve on this? Can I get more audience by sending out an email before? What if I start breaking up the videos and doing the hot topics of what we talked about as a smaller chunk of video and driving some traffic to that? And it's an addiction now. And a lot of people don't want to come on because they're afraid of the live video and going live and feeling like I might ask them something that's going to be a tough question, or they're going to have a bad experience. And to your point, my foot is buried so far into the gas pedal. I don't think I could take it off. I want to talk a little bit about some different new strategies. I've seen some companies, Ford is a great example of using like a patriotic strategy. Yeah. And they have used that in the past. They didn't take any of the bailout money in 2008. I understand that they were involved with creating airplanes back in the World Wars. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think they were involved. But they very much use this. We're an American company. We are going to be there. Strategy. Is that correct? And have you seen other use of this with success?
Well, one is that Ford has a honest grasp on that strategy because Henry Ford invented modern manufacturing in America. I mean, and so there is nothing more American than the Model T, and global, personal transportation changed forever when he modernized the assembly line.
Right.
They have had a history of making tanks through World War I and airplanes and equipment and armored personnel carriers and every single thing. And they had ramped up the war effort as a history buff, even before FDR basically violating a congressional order at the time, basically to arm the UK and our allies before we ever got into the war.
Wow.
in the big one. Yes, one of the things is Americana is like with the U.S. car manufacturers. It's something like that. But Chevy and Ford have both tried to lay claim to, right? The same way that Coke and Pepsi tried to lay claim to, America. I think that yes, in times like these, it's a great strategy because one, it's the truth. The brand is the truth. basically Daimler Chrysler couldn't walk through with a USA first strategy, even though they own Jeep, which is the most American made parts wise car out there, because it's foreign owned Chrysler, Daimler, the name, and it's not something that they could do from a brand standpoint.
It's not authentic.
Yeah. But the other thing I have seen, where I've seen that being good, I've also seen some folks, and you have to walk a fine line, because I heard a carpet cleaning ad yesterday saying, hey, we're still in business, we're essential. You don't want to get coronavirus, so we'll come over and pick up your carpet, we'll clean it for you, and we'll bring it back, and you don't even have to talk to one of our people. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the first thing I would lead with in the ad.
Yeah, slimy.
Yeah, it's a little bit, so you have to be really careful about the message. And I call it tone deaf. Yes, it's okay to say in a way to your audience, yes, we understand you. Yes, we feel your pain. You're at home. The kids are unhappy. All the things, you're tired of eating in, blah, 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 blah. And you have some sort of empathy for their scenario.
Right.
Then you can offer up a suggestion that fits their needs, right? But leading with a reminder of, everybody's in lockdown. Now's the time to clean your carpets, because you don't want your carpets to make you sick. It's probably not the best way to handle it.
So
by the way, didn't they do a beautiful job on this giant blue carpet behind me?
It's amazing. It looks, I would roll in that.
looks brand new, doesn't it?
I love what you just said. In fact, you're probably familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh, I love him. Yeah. Gary.
He talks about his jab, hook. And the jab is going to soften you up for the hook, but you just can't lead with a bunch of Hail Marys and hooks. You'll wear yourself out, and nobody's going to, you're not going to knock anybody out. You're going to get tired, the old rope-a-dope, that thing, and then you're just going to get slugged. So marketing is the jab, and then the hook is the offer, but you don't want to lead with the hook. And if you could jab them down to the point where they're just like, please just sell me something, then you're probably.
I told Gary Vee years ago when I met him first in New York that he should be in the marketing business instead of the wine business, because he was a natural marketer and that sort of stuff. And then he started doing like shows and speaking engagements and everything else. And the business and the T-shirts and the wine and all that sort of stuff, I know for him is totally secondary. The 80-20 rule. He's probably making 80% of his money by being Gary Vee,
For sure. I have a funny story about him. When I was a kid, I used to go where Regency Mall was other than, what was it called? Eastgate?
Yeah.
Fairfield, whatever they call it today. I think it's closed. We used to go to Regency, and I can remember they would have the card tables out, and they were doing the cards. And I remember being interested. I guess I was like 10, because I think Gary's like a year or two younger than me. And I vividly remember this little kid running around, hustling his ass off, and there's no doubt, and I know he's worked these baseball card things up and down the East Coast, and I'm 99.9% sure that I remember him, and it just sticks out in my mind.
Yeah, he's a hustler.
He is the endless, and
the enthusiasm and for it too is amazing. Yeah.
He's a grind. He's somebody to look up to. Okay, so copy versus video. Is there something working better now than it used to? Is it the same old?
Well, I think you put your finger on the pulse of things too by talking about Facebook. So the latest research for ComScore and Nielsen basically shows an overwhelming increase in consumption of social media content beginning in March. Really, actually, even before that, you're looking at some social media sites that are up 100, 200, 300% over normal usage. Yeah. Apple is going to put out some data, but also they track, on your iPhone, the amount of FaceTime screen time and social media usage and stuff like that. Okay. Their numbers, all the preliminary numbers we're hearing about, are absolutely through the roof for mobile too. So one of the basic adages of marketing is you want to put marketing messages in front of people, and you want to find out where their attention is focused. Okay. Wow. So a lot of the attention went from, when we had television, we had 3 channels to watch back in the day. When you were at the mall, working with the baseball cards, you had 3 channels, right? You went home and you had one of 3 programs to watch at 8 o'clock, and a third of America was tuned in to one of those channels. We don't have those big, massive media kind of moments anymore because of segmentation, and literally everything running to digital platforms.
That's right.
So the 3 different TV stations and the one hometown newspaper have been replaced with 150,000 websites and social media sites and places that you can go.
Right.
The closest thing we have to the big 3 in TV is the big 3 in social.
Okay.
So you're looking at your Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You're looking at these sort of platforms as being really where you need to focus your energies. You talked about Facebook. That's the Mac Daddy of all social sites. And so you're looking at some stat I read is like 83% of all Americans over 13 have a Facebook account or something. And so that's crazy and again, don't quote me on that because I don't have it right in front of me, but it's some sort of astronomical number in there, about 3/4 to 80%.
Yeah.
But the numbers are absolutely astronomical. That combined with your ability to focus geographically through radius or on certain demographics is a great way to do that. Now, the double-edged sword there is I have seen in the last 3 days 3 different examples of what I call homemade social media ads. And man, I'm shaking my head. I had another one pop in this morning from a friend, and there's no punctuation. It's bad English, and it's for a concrete company about, call me, I'll take any offer right now to pour your concrete, because basically there's nobody pouring concrete right now. I feel terrible for the guy. That number one, how much money have they wasted? Why am I being targeted? Because I don't need to pour any concrete right now.
Right.
But then at the other end of the spectrum, I'm seeing a very well-known attorney in town trying to promote his practice and not understanding how the word count on the ads and stuff. And so it says, we handled divorce blank, and then all the other stuff is left off the ad. And even the photo in the ad looks terrible because it's him doing this.
It's a selfie pointing up at his nose.
It's like a selfie where you can see the nose hairs. And I'm like, this is terrible. Why would you not get some sort of professional help before you did this? It's like, I have a hammer, but I'm not a carpenter.
Oh, no.
Right. I have a camera, right. But I'm not a photographer.
Right.
I got a Facebook account. Doesn't make me a marketer. I was like, all right. So I feel bad. So there's people out there that are recognizing the potential in there, but sometimes they're actually doing more harm than good when they get in there and they don't understand fundamentals of branding and marketing.
Yeah, for sure. I see a lot of bad marketing, and I guess I call myself a self-proclaimed marketer or expert, or, I'm a self-proclaimed athlete too, but I've never won any races. But I did go for a run this morning. So
better than me. All I did was walk the dog.
There you go. So yeah, I look at bad marketing, and as a consumer, I feel like, that's a turnoff. We'll do any concrete at any, pour concrete at any price. I mean, that's just not a strong lead. You're not going to convert.
Yeah. Well, desperation doesn't sell.
Desperation and fear is not a strategy.
No, not at all. Not at all. And people can smell fear, and when you demonstrate it to thousands of people on Facebook, you're probably going to do some long-term damage to either your personal reputation or your company brand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's bad stuff. So there are pitfalls there. One of the things that, we've done, and I'll put a plug in here if you don't mind, but our Friday 12 o'clock event, we're doing a free Marcom seminar. We've been doing them. We will continue to do them as long as we are under lockdown. We had 1,200 and some people view the webinar. We keep them to 35 to 45 minutes, allow you to kind of eat and digest and get back to work. That's why we decided to do it Friday at noon.
Yeah.
This week, we'll be talking about event marketing.
Okay.
Because how do you do event marketing? And the idea is that, yes, we will be coming back and events will be coming back, but what will those events look like? And how will those events change? And whether or not that's a good strategy moving forward for certain types of businesses. We're also going to dissect B2B and B2C strategies for business to business and business to consumer strategies. And we're going to have a whole segment on nonprofit marketing. What can you do to re-engage with your donor base and looking for donors at a time where donations typically at the outset of a recession dry up. So those are going to be some of the topics that we're talking about this week.
So two things about that, and I hope to join those things, and I saw them when I was on your Facebook page. MARCOM, what does MARCOM mean?
Marketing and communications. So it's our, I know. I had that, a couple people ask about that. We've kind of shortened that through the years because, one, Facebook makes you shorten things, but we've also kind of referred to that as both marketing and communications. Our agency does marketing, branding marketing, and traditional advertising, and it does PR, communications, internal, external newsletters, social media, and all those things. So we say that we're a hybrid between a marketing and communications firm.
When it comes to event marketing, I've been doing events, as you know, for a very long time, dating back to probably 2006, maybe even 5.
Yeah.
I can't remember the first event, and I've done them consistently over the years through recessions, never stopping. The one I had planned for May 14th, it's gotten pushed back. I plan on trying to do something virtual. I'm working up to try to figure that out. I consider myself, I've failed. I've screwed up in every way in the marketing, event marketing, and it is the best type of marketing for my business when it comes to the hook, when it comes to the close. And it is a fantastic event. I have learned ways to prevent attrition. I've learned ways to keep people around at the end. I'm definitely going to tune in for that because I consider myself an expert because I've done like 30 events and I've screwed up, something at every event.
Well, there's something to be said for trial and error, but there's also, I think, something to be said for just a really good strategy of how that works and where does it work. For a B2B company, event marketing works very, very well. It gets logistically harder and more difficult when you're talking about B2C because you're bringing in more consumers. So we can do a small type of event for a B2B client, a law firm, for example, that markets a blood drive. Okay, it's a very small scale thing, or our agency, we do our media mixers. We're doing one on the 22nd. It's a virtual event through Zoom. Okay. And it's going to be more of a networking event online through Zoom where everybody gets their 30-second stand up to kind of tell people who they are and what they do. A couple of years ago at Green Top Hunt Fish, we did an event there because it was a consumer-oriented event. We partnered with Virginia Tourism, and it was their 75th anniversary at Green Top. We turned it into Virginia's Hunting and Fishing Expo in their parking lot.
Okay.
And literally had a statewide event there at the retailer. And so you can imagine the cost, expense, planning, having celebrities in from, the Outdoors Channel and those sort of things. And so your strategy for the small online event or the whatever for the B2B client is going to be very different than the big, giant public event. But again, regardless of size or scale or where you are or business vertical, events should be, I would say, part of what you're doing at some level.
It's a key ingredient in ours, and I completely agree. If you're not doing live events on a regular annual or biannual basis, you are missing out. Now, when you bring people to an event, you better knock it out the park because it's a key moment. And
it definitely, you just like anything else operationally with the business, you have to deliver.
Yeah.
And
events better not be a product pitch. You better bring in a expert, and unless you're a really good speaker and you've had lots of experience, you should we fly in an expert for every event, and that is not cheap. And we do a first class dinner at the Boathouse, or we've done at University of Richmond.
Right.
We're doing them we moved from lunch to evening, not to steal any thunder. I don't know if you've done this before. And I invite spouses, so it's a dinner date. So my attrition goes way down, unless, of course, there's a hurricane that night, which has happened.
That's the double-edged sword with events.
My live event, my 9/11, I guess. Although I still had a great turnout, and we had a great time, and the power did go out at one point. But
we did strategic planning at a statewide nonprofit here a number of years ago, and we looked at where their funding came from, and we realized that 80% of their funding came from 5 different events that they had literally between the end of summer and Christmas.
Wow.
And I said, wow, so 4 out of your 5 events that represent 80% of your money come during hurricane season. And they were like, and I said, you've been lucky for the last 25 years, but we can't count on that forever, and we need to diversify your funding streams and create a donor base and whatever. So we did a capital campaign, we did some things, and guess what happened? Almost like psychically the next fall.
Birthday.
Yeah, 2 of their events got wiped out. The 2 biggest events got wiped out because of one event.
Well, I had an event planned for May 14th, and 2 days before the lockdown happened, I paid a group of people to seal up envelopes. I got 1,000 envelopes with stamps, with invites, all sitting in the hallway of my office. And I thought about that, and I even had tickets created, 2 tickets, because somebody opens an envelope. You've got my envelopes. I usually send out red envelopes, and it's got tickets in there. So I scheduled the next event for the same date next year. And so I'm hoping to get to recycle and reuse that stuff. But your point is exactly, I do them in October and I do them in May. And, I've tried one in January once and had a snowstorm. So you're right. The diversification and the risk can be high. So, I'm paying $14 a month for this Zoom subscription, which is something I've recently invested in.
Yeah.
Facebook is free. This is free. I mean, it's just time. And I'm just having to call people like yourself and try to say, hey, would you come on this thing and do this thing with me? It's still probably above most people's technology skill set, but it really wasn't that hard. I mean, I run a technology business, but I'm not like, I have other people come fix my stuff, like my company. I don't do IT work. What would you say, like right now, would be the easiest thing for somebody to implement, and they're really missing the boat if they're not doing it, that they really absolutely should be doing?
So right now, I mean, I would look at like the big 3, as I talked about earlier. For example, let's say that you're business to business right now. And I would say Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn might be the 3 things that I would look at, or Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. If you're B2C and you have products and people and things that you want to show off, maybe in a younger clientele you want to reach, maybe add Instagram to the mix. But I would take a look at those things. If you're only on Facebook, get on some of the other platforms. Okay, so 1. And if you have all of those platforms, okay, post, picture, video, content, all day, every day. So if you were, and I said this in the seminar 2 weeks ago, if you were posting 3 times a week on Facebook pre-COVID-19, you should be posting 19 times a week post-COVID-19.
Totally agree.
Get out. If you're 3 times a week, you should be 3 times a day, right? So let's just go in there and hit it. 1, the way that Facebook algorithms work, a lot of people don't know this. Organic posts are going to be seen by an average of 10% of your audience. You have 5,000 fans on Facebook, 500 people are going to see it.
Okay.
So 1, pay Facebook a little bit more to make sure the other 4,500 people see it.
Boost it.
Yeah. Boost it at least to the people that are on your page. Now that's just your tribe. That's just your people that understand who your business is. I would go a little bit further than that and boost it to friends of theirs so they can see the content. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I would even go further than that, and I would try to look at a profile of businesses or consumers or whoever you're trying to reach in a larger radius. Make it 25 miles, make it 50 miles, whatever you think is going to be worth it to do that.
Yeah.
Those are the easy kind of things right now that you can do. Take advantage of the communications channels you already have.
Okay.
Maximize those. Okay. Give them content that is empathetic. It's not tone deaf. It's helpful. It solves the problem. It's not overly salesy. And then pump that, because if they don't buy tomorrow, okay, and they don't buy until May 8th when they come out of lockdown, okay, they might buy May 9th, okay, and your competitors aren't doing that, and so they will buy from you on May 9th and not them on May 9th. And that's the thing. You hit the nail on the head earlier when you talked about coming out of the last Great Recession. A recession is an opportunity to gain market share. There is only one good thing about a recession. Everybody else flees, panics, sells short, whatever else, pumps the brakes, slams on the brake, quits, and goes and gets unemployment. Wonderful. When your competitors do that.
Right.
Okay. You shouldn't. You should be going after their clients because they've quit. Okay. And they can't offer that product or service anymore. So you just move right into the space they created a vacuum for.
When the economy's on the operating table, hanging on to life, that's the opportunity. That's a Warren Buffett quote, I think. And he's got a bunch of really good ones. But when
He's got some good ones, yeah.
Your head should not be in the same.
And again, I understand with businesses and money might be tough. And if you've got a PPP right now, you've got to put that money into payroll or whatever else. But here's the thing. There are things that you can turn the lights off at 5, okay? You can buy cheaper gas rather than the premium. There are ways you can eat, let's eat some regular old Wonder Bread, instead of buying the nice sourdough at the company. Whatever you got to do in order to scrape together $50 or $100 or $200 or whatever else to really pump it out right now, that would be my advice. What we ended up on our search marketing budget. We announced we were going into quarantine on Friday. Monday morning, we doubled our search budget. I have heard, I'm getting resumes from other firms saying, I got laid off, so-and-so's out of business, blah, blah, blah. Do you have a job? And I don't have any right now. Okay. But we have had we've still had a regular pipeline of people contacting us. And my business development manager sold a contract day before, or Monday. And it's not a huge one, but it's a sale. And and they searched, they clicked, they called, they talked to her. She wrote it up and she sent it to them. And the sales cycle, I would say, normally is going to be a month, kind of long process. That was 5 days because the urgency of the situation. No, it wasn't a huge contract, but yes, it was a contract. And secondly, we wouldn't have had that unless we had expanded, because we actually expanded our search area into Northern Virginia, and then that's where the client came from. So.
Yeah, and you're not bound by any boundaries of, my demographic is different than yours, I think, based on what you just told me. My demographic, which I've thought about this time and time again, I try to keep as close to the Richmond City area. So my sandbox is really tight. I do have clients in outlying areas, but as far as efficiencies and retention and level of service that I can provide, I know I want somebody within a 30-mile radius of downtown Richmond.
Now, but think about this, and it depends, not necessarily your business, Randy, but another one. Let's say that you've had to change operation on your business and all of your business or the majority of your business is being done online.
Okay.
Logistically, that means that you could actually expand your distribution of marketing to other places to go online.
And I've explored that with the beach area and with, Fredericksburg. I've tried in Charlottesville. That's a very tight niche community. I kind of feel like if I don't know you, if I don't see you, you're not getting in here. I don't know what your experience has been with that. It's a tough market.
A couple of years ago, we decided that we were going to, we had a leap where we had gone from a lot of Richmond area clients, And then we were very highly optimized. And so people were looking for Richmond agencies and looking for marketing services in Virginia.
Okay.
And so marketing firms, Virginia, Richmond ad agencies, those sort of keywords, we were number one or number two on the list, kind of in a battle with Martin there, for the top spot, right?
Sure.
But we're no Martin, right? That's a whole different kind of animal. They're handling Geico and Walmart and Pizza Hut. We're handling, small to mid-sized clients, right? And so in there, we were getting business from LA and Minnesota and Ronkonkoma, New York, and Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and you name it.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But we said, well, gosh, if we're doing this, why not let's focus a little bit more on drive market.
Yeah.
And we opened up an office in Western Virginia. We started getting clients from the Shenandoah Valley, Western Virginia, Eastern Virginia, Northern Virginia. And now we have, our distiller is in Fredericksburg. We have clients. We have Chesapeake Economic Development Department that just signed on with us. So we have a lot of different folks in different areas of the state. And still, when we need to see them, we can literally drive to them. But the majority of the business is done like this, through online, through phone calls. And we're fortunate in that respect that we can do this. We had video conferencing capability long before Zoom hopped onto the screen, and we were using several different ways. And we were doing GoToMeeting live webinars and stuff, to where we were doing social media training with people in 16 states and 3 foreign countries at one time for a large downtown law firm. But again, the delivery of that, I understand with a retailer, a restaurant, whatever, those things are going to be very different. So again, strategies are going to be different, really depending on who you are, what you do, and what you provide.
Yeah, wasting money on marketing, trying to market to people that are outside of a relative area or demographic of some sort. Guilty. I've done a lot of that. But
yeah, well, it's got to make sense for the business, and like that's the idea. Right now, if you think about it, well, let's say that company A, they've got a highly competitive market. They're in the Richmond area, and they're delivering, HVAC services, right? Okay, so your trucks can only go a certain distance. They've got to come home at night. There's no sense in driving to Lynchburg from Richmond to replace an air conditioning unit when it's going to cost you a 4-hour round trip of manpower, gas, and whatever else.
Today.
But there are companies out there that, like you said, services you can deliver logistically. You might want to consider those things. And then, one of the big things is, as I mentioned at the outset, the retailer that's been around 30 years that has their e-commerce website being built tomorrow. If you're a retailer and you can't go into the store, you need to figure out a way to get those products out. And so we're helping some of them that are late to the game get on Amazon, get to a marketplace, get a Shopify account set up on the website. And we're even doing some cool things through Facebook e-commerce. In the last couple of weeks, we've been looking at creating e-commerce stores directly through Facebook because people's attention's there, but also if their attention's there and they don't have to visit another website, can they buy that product directly through Facebook? And they can.
Yeah, I love the Shopify idea because you aren't having to pay the platform fees for the Etsy's and the Amazons and the eBays, but you're left on your own to have a good marketing strategy, which is great. And you better understand one-time offers and all kinds of other aspects of selling on your own like that.
Yeah, if you're a wholesaler or a manufacturer, for example, you don't have a well-known brand. You might want to go to a marketplace like Amazon where they've already built that out. People are like, well, I don't want to go to Amazon, and they take so much and they didn't want to
pay
it. It's like, you know what? I don't want to sell things at the mall because there's people there.
Well, paying those platform fees are painful, but it's probably less expensive for especially like right now, if you've got to pivot and switch. It's
One, you've got immediate access to market. Okay.
right.
One, you don't have to pay for years of awareness marketing. You don't have to go from wholesaler to retailer and create the awareness, and you might not have time to create that long life cycle.
It's a layup.
So there's ways for people to get there. Part of it is just saying, okay, yes, biting it, saying we're going to have to absorb this temporary cost in order to get there. So
just to get by. So, all this reminds me of a very important book Stephen Covey wrote called The 7 Habits of.
You can't see it through my background, but I have it on the shelf behind.
It's a great book. And habit number 2, do you know what it is?
Oh my God.
I'll tell you what it is. It's
right.
The end in mind.
Oh, yeah.
The end in mind. So my end in mind is the live event, is doing these live events. So everything I'm doing in my marketing strategy funnels into the live event. Even these videos that I'm doing right now, I'm trying to get you and your friends and people in your community of business owners to know who I am and say, well, this guy maybe has something important to say. And when I send that letter to you and I invite you and I pick up the phone, because I'm making every single one of those calls. I make 1,000+ calls every time I do one of those events. I'm not afraid to pick up the phone and do the old grind work. Paying a telemarketer, I found, has had 0 results or very minimal. I've got to pick up the phone and call you and not think I can just outsource that. And
I one of the things I recommended a few years ago, telemarketing bad, stay away, never pay another person to make a phone call for you ever. It's basically, it's worse than spam.
It is. It's a turnoff, and I've learned my lessons, and it's an expensive lesson. And I felt bad for these telemarketing, and they're women, and I was intentionally hiring women because who could be mean to a woman calling you, And she was like, they're being mean to me. So lessons learned. This is great stuff. I think we could probably stay on. I knew this would happen for about 3 hours, but I know you've got a busy day.
We got to get on it today, but yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the invite of having me on.
You bet. Absolutely. And Friday at noon, it's the Marcom event.
Yeah. So facebook.com/Madison, Maine.
Okay.
You can find our live Marcom webinar there. 11:55 is the pre-sign up. We have a little bit of a chat. We have some questions. We go live at 12 noon. I have our communications director, Kent Brockwell, along. I have our digital media specialist, Derek Fair, generally for those calls as well. We social distance 6 feet apart and usually share a local restaurant meal that has been delivered so we can support them. And we don't know. I don't know what we're going to have. I think they may be having Sally Bell's Kitchen Friday. I think that would be a good one. And then the meetings, so far they've been between 37 and 45 minutes. We take live questions there on Facebook and generally have a good one. A lot of people on the call. And again, focused on a few things, including, like I said, event marketing, a couple of strategies for small and mid-size businesses. And also we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about nonprofit marketing on Friday, how to kind of maintain contacts with donors and some new paths to nonprofit revenue.
So do me a huge favor. First of all, look at the comment section throughout the day as you've had time, because people are going to be asking questions that I don't want to answer for you. Put the link in there for your Marcom event in case anybody can write that down. Put any other links in there for things that you think are relative to marketing or whatever, and just kind of monitor the comment feed and see if somebody's asking a question and that you could respond to them, because I've seen that happen. I've got a doctor coming on tomorrow that I had on a week ago today, and he was phenomenal. And he was all over people asking questions, and it was amazing.
Good. Well, I'm happy to do that. And I'll tell you this too, I'll let your folks know, Randy, on the thing. If 12 o'clock Friday doesn't work, okay, it still sits on our Facebook feed if you'd like to see Friday's event. And we have 3 previous ones that are already on our Facebook page if they want to go back and look and dig through. The first one was, I don't know, a little bit of a mess. I think we got through it. We probably hit our stride by the second or third one, and we had a lot of people on there and a lot of great questions. But again, and they can always contact us directly. Right now, we're trying to help out. right now, any small business out there, any that normally may be too small for Madison, Maine, any sort of business, nonprofit, if you're in the Richmond area, you're in Virginia, and you just want some advice, you can call us. We're going to give you some free advice. We're going to help you out in this time. And that's why we're doing the things on Friday. And we believe in karma. It comes back to us later. So we're trying to put some time and energy into this. And I appreciate what you're doing too, Randy. It's really nice.
Well, thanks so much for doing this. Like I said, I call a lot of people and only 1% actually agree. And I knew you would. And I'm super happy.
I don't mind running my mouth, Randy. So no problem.
Well, and so the message is just don't put your head in the sand. Keep marketing. Put the high octane gas in. Pedal to the metal. Market like a boss. Do it boldly. Don't worry about doing it wrong. And screwing up is fine. And being human is attractive in marketing. And I actually screw up. Well, look, thanks again. You have a great day. I'm going to record this and put it up later. I'll try to take some nuggets for people. But thanks again so much, Dave.
Thanks, Randy. I'll see you soon. In person, I'll see you soon.
Yes, of course.
All right, bye.